Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools, made by a woodturner, for woodturners. One of the things my wife and I love to do after a long, hard week of work is to sit out in the yard and cook. And while we do that, we have an adult beverage or two. But one of the problems is that living in Oklahoma, we tend to have lots of critters that want to enjoy that beverage with you. And so this is kind of an indulgent program for me because I've always wanted to make this project, and this is going to help us keep the bugs out of our drinks. We're going to be making a topper for our beer bottle here. That works really good, and that's made out of bobinga. Then the other one we're going to make is for my wife's wine glass. She likes to have a different beverage. And this is a cap that goes right on top, sits nice and solid. So the flies and the bugs and the wasps and everybody else who loves this stuff won't go inside. They also don't crawl on the lip of the cup, which is really nice. And this thing is raised up so when it sits on here, they can't get very high. And then when you set this down on the table, it's only touching the edge. It's not touching where your mouth is. This one's dual purpose though, because you can also set it down and make it into a coaster, a hat. You can make it, also you can use it to hold an hors d'oeuvre or a little snack or something. So if you're using this inside the house, this is pretty cool when you have a party. What I like about this project is it's scrap wood too. We're going to use a piece of bobinga cutoff I have to make the one for my beer bottle, and then we're going to be using, and this is old, it really looks weird, that looks ugly, doesn't it? This is Purple Heart, but this is what it'll look like once we cut it out and put a finish on it. That's obviously why they call it Purple Heart. It's got purple in the heart of it. My original inspiration for this was years ago on our YouTube channel that we have for Woodturning with Tim. I made a little tiny project, and this was not the finished one, this is one I made later, but I kept getting tired of getting shavings in my drink when I was out in the shop. So we were making cookie cutters at the time, and I thought, wait a minute, if I modify that, that'll work great. So it's really worked wonders for me. I've had this for about 6 years now, I think. And, probably about 3 or 4. But anyway, it keeps all the shavings out of my monster drink, which gives me the energy to do these shows. The first thing we want to do is on the layout, we're going to do the bottle one first, is I simply want to find the center of my blank. And so I'm going to take a ruler and just take it shy of the corner here and here, and then take my Sharpie and do that, and come over here again and take my Sharpie and do that. So now I have the exact center on the blank. We're going to repeat it here, and this can get a little wiggly sometimes. You just got to kind of like get your fingers to lock into the edge when you put that up like that, and so it doesn't slide. I've fought this for years, and somebody's going to have to invent something really cool for this. I've seen a few, but they don't quite do what I want yet. Maybe I'll figure it out myself. So anyway, once that's there, we just take our all or nothing. Okay, put that in. Bang, bang. It's like a little hole there. And then we're gonna put a little hole here. And this can be any size wood you want, but this is like 1.5 inches across and about 4 inches long. And so this will allow us to grip it into a chuck with the base down here. You can see, you basically just have to base the wood off the size of whatever beverage container you're going to be using. Well, I want to mount this between centers, and I couldn't remember this name the other day when we were doing a show. It's called a steb center. It has a little spring in there, and what I like about it is it doesn't mar the wood much, but if you get a catch, that spring just lets these teeth slip so it doesn't hurt anything. So if you're a new turner, it's a great way to turn without getting a catch. And you can see that easily centered up because I got that little hole there, so that helps me out a lot. And then I need my oh, there it is, my tailstock, which is over here. Okay, bring it over. Okay, and so now, oops, loosen that. I'm just gonna run in here. There's a little tiny tip in here, a little tiny hole in there, and I'm gonna just fish around for it. There, and see the wiggle? Now it's spinning, I'm on that little hole it did. Just tighten her up and lock it in. That's cool. So you wanna bring your tool rest up, and you can kind of see from over here, I want the tool rest to be right about center, maybe a little bit below. So by being right about here. That means my tool is going to angle right here, and it's going to be at the right angle when I start cutting. So the height of your tool rest is really important when you do things. If a cut's not working real well, just stop a second, raise or lower the tool rest just a little bit, and you might get exactly the cut you want then. So nothing's touching, and I'm going to grab my big old roughing gouge. I'm not going to turn yet. I don't have my glasses on. But see, when I set this up now, that tool rest tells me what the angle of the tool is going to be, and this is a good angle to get that bevel rubbing on the wood. Okay, now I'm going to bring my speed up to about 1,000, 1,500 RPM, because this is a cylinder. I want it to go fast to make the cut easier. Crank it up a little bit more. You can feel the wind coming off of it. Anyway, I'm just going to go from edge to edge. If you're a beginner, start in the middle, but I've been doing this a little while, so I'm going to do the edge to edge thing. And it doesn't take long to rough out a blank, especially dried wood, because I like the way it works. I mean, green wood goes real fast, but dried wood has less give, so I can move quicker, if that makes any sense. Let's do this. No bumping, so I'm rounded out. So I just want to go over here. I'm going to grab my little favorite tenon tool and come in here and make the tenon for my chuck. And I pretty much know the diameter I need to hold in the jaws. And I don't need a lot of lip right there. There we go. And so that's a perfect tenon. And so we'll flip this around and start shaping and making our bottle topper. Okay, now I have the blank mounted in the chuck. The first thing I want to do is, you can see the edge is a little bit wobbly, so I want to clean that up. And I don't have to clean it up the whole way because we're going to drill some of this away. Use our parting tool, come in. Well, that went the whole way anyway, just for the heck of it. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to lower the speed down, because when you drill, you don't want to go too fast. It builds up a lot of heat and stuff. And you can see over here I have a Jacobs chuck mounted in my tailstock with, I think that's like a 3/4 inch, Forstner bit. The problem is, you know, these beer bottles, they're metric, so I didn't have a Forstner bit the exact diameter of the lip. So we'll have to hollow this out a little bit once we get the hole done. But you can see I've got my expensive depth gauge on there, that green tape, and that shows how deep I want to go. So we'll just get this going in here. It's going to build up a little bit of heat, and it's going to smoke. This bit's nice because you can see all the shavings coming out, so it really doesn't clog up too much. So we'll just go all the way in. There we go. That's as deep as I want to go. And now we just back it out, and we don't have all that screeching sound that we normally experience. So now that we've got that hole there, what we're going to do is we're going to start hollowing this out to get the bottle to fit. Once the bottle fits, then we're going to shape it. Darn. Oh, we'll save this for later. Oh, I do need this for this moment though. There's our hole, there's our bottle. Let's just look at it. You can see we got a little bit to go there, so we got to get it to fit in nicely. You don't want this really loose, because the snugness of it is what makes this a cool project. It makes it seem professional. Gonna bring this in here. I've got my Easy Wood #1 tip tiny cutter for hollowing. And so we're just going to take this incrementally, turn our speed back up. Now this is a long spindle, so there's not a lot of support, so you don't want to get real aggressive with your cutting, or you'll get a lot of vibration. But what I want to do right now is just work the outer edge a bit. It's going to have to be wider in the long run because the neck of the bottle goes tapering out. But I just want to see where I am on the rim to begin with. And see, now we're starting to fit in there. So now I know I can go all the way to the bottom with that diameter, and then we're going to taper the inside out a bit. This sounds right. Yeah. Okay. Let's go here. This is one of those depth or hollowing projects where you really don't need to see inside. You just kind of watch as you go. And you hear a little bit of vibration when I push too hard or get a little too aggressive. I love this little carbide cutter though, because it takes such a fine cut on the wood that it doesn't put a lot of pressure into the wood. So you touch it very lightly and you don't get a lot of vibration like you would with some other cutters. And now I'm at the bottom, I can feel that there, and I'm not worried about how the inside looks, but I do care that it is hollowed all the way to the edge, because I want the bottle top to hit flush against that inside. So let's go here a little bit more. You can still see that the tool is coming out to the right a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now that's probably the right width all the way down for the neck of the top. Whoop, stay. For that part of the bottle. So we'll take that in there like so. Oh, we're getting really close. Now it's wobbling, so it's not bottoming out yet. Once it stops wobbling is when it bottoms out. So you can see I've got to take some of this edge off right here. One other handy thing to have is this thing over here. Oh, come on. There we go. Good. And you got to occasionally go and blow out the shavings. Blow off the camera, blow off the camera, and blow off the host. One of those makes sense. Anyway, here we go. Back in again. Now we're going to start doing our angle, and you can see I'm angling the tool. That helps me get the angle I want. So light cuts, not rush it. Sometimes it helps to have a little inspiration in front of you, just so you can kind of look at it, see where you're going with it. And I'm thinking I'm really close, and I'm going to do, and that's not a good idea. Don't put it there. Glass in the shop tends to break. Now in the end, you do want it to be nice on the inside, so if you just make your cut really light, you won't see much tear out in the grain. And this is really hard wood, the Babinga, so it takes, oops, forgot to do that part. Excuse me. Okay, let's see, take that in there. Okay, that's fitting pretty good. I went a little bit wide there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make this an extended length. I'm going to bring the Forstner bit back and make it a little bit deeper so I can get it to match up on the side.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools, made by a woodturner, for woodturners.